Hey guys, Medieval, and welcome back to another LEGO Star Wars review. Today I have the highly anticipated Dark Falcon. The set number is 75389. It's going to come with 1,579 pieces. It's going to retail for $180. It's going to be released on August 1st of 2024. And the set is already available for pre-order on lego.com, so I have a link down in the description that's affiliated and helps with the channel. With that said, let me get my controversial opinion out on the Dark Falcon. I could care less about this set. Maybe that's a hot take, but I don't really care for this one. Now, I will say the minifigure lineup, pretty awesome. I gotta say, for me, that's the highlight of this set. The actual darked out Millennium Falcon, that's just not my thing. I'm sure a lot of you are excited for this set, and I'm gonna give this a fair review, but it's just not doing it for me. I look at this and I see a giant dust magnet. And I know, I just reviewed Borobudur, a big blacked out castle from Lord of the Rings. And yeah, that's a dust magnet too, but not in the same way. This is literally a giant pancake just asking for dust. And whereas Borobudur's big tower, anyhow, it's just not doing it for me. Maybe I'll feel differently once I build it. Now I also need to mention this part right here, the Dark Millennium Falcon, along with some other LEGO Star Wars sets coming out in the summer wave this year, like Jedi Bob Starfighter, as well as the X-Wing and TIE Fighter combo mashup set. All three of those sets are part of something called Rebuild the Galaxy, which is a Disney Plus series or movie that's coming out, and it's a LEGO Star Wars kind of special, basically. And that show slash movie is going to include all the characters that we see in this set, like Darth Jar Jar, Darth Rey, Jedi Vader, we have Beach Luke, Bounty Hunter C-3PO, as well as a new character. So really, this set is just a tie-in to that LEGO Star Wars Disney Plus special. And that really reminds me of something called the Yoda Chronicles, the Freemaker Adventures. And I never liked those sets. I never liked them. The only difference between those sets and these is that LEGO and Star Wars slash Lucasfilm are leaning more into either the memes or the inner jokes within the communities, like Darth Jar Jar, for example, and Jedi Bob, if you don't know him. That's a separate Starfighters and review. I'll go through that in the future, but LEGO's leaning into this whole kind of, culture in the community, and they're trying to obviously get your money with that. And I'm inherently a little frustrated with that, as maybe some of you are. Maybe some of you are like, oh no, I've always wanted a Darth Jar Jar, let me have it. I've always wanted a blacked out Millennium Falcon. I don't know how many people were saying that, but now that it exists, yes, you can get this. Maybe some of you might remember the review I did 8 years ago on the Freemaker Adventure set. This set is a straight up waste of money in my opinion. I don't even want to open this set. I want to get my 50 bucks back. And 8 years later, I just don't feel differently about these tie-in LEGO Star Wars sets with these kind of spin-off shows. So let's come back out of that rabbit hole and let's take a look at the Dark Millennium Falcon. Maybe I'll feel differently once I build it. I do want to thank LEGO for sending this one over for review, and let's go into the in-depth. So every Millennium Falcon playset has always had a sticker sheet, and that is still the case with the Dark Falcon. There's also a separate bag containing the windshield piece as well as some other bigger pieces, so that's nice to see, so that way the windshield doesn't get scraped up. Now, just to elaborate on my opinion of why I don't like the Dark Falcon, and I still feel that way even after building it, it's really just how I see it, right? It's kind of a gimmick in my eyes, where there's all this hype at the beginning, but come a year or two from now, I don't feel like fans are going to feel the same way that they're feeling right now. But I could be wrong, but let's go ahead and get to the best part of this set, which is the minifigures. First up is Bounty Hunter C-3PO with those red eyes. That's pretty hilarious. He has a blacked out printed arm on the right, and then on the rest of the body, yes, he has another printed arm, but everything else is actually normal to the other C-3PO minifigures that we've gotten in years past. Next is the only new named character in this set, which is Darth Dev. We don't know anything about him. Again, he's from Rebuild the Galaxy, so we'll have to watch the Disney Plus show series to see what his backstory is, but he does have a really cool printed arm. It's not printed on the other side. I like the design of this figure, and it actually kind of reminds me of like a Darth Rex, but from what I can tell, it is a separate character, not a clone character. Next up, we have Beach Luke, and yes, that is Anakin's necklace that he gave to his mom, Padme, around his neck. That's hilarious. Love that Easter egg. He has a double-sided face, and on the backside of his torso, the graphic designer kind of went wild here. We have Luke's home on Tatooine with a little surfboard, a little wave. There's an R2. There's a Porg, I think, there. A lot of Easter eggs on this character. After that, we have Darth Rey, and my one critique with her is she doesn't have the shark teeth that we see in Rise of the Skywalker, so that's a little disappointing, but everything else about the figure is pretty great. Love the torso prints on either side. Following that, we have Jedi Vader, and I don't know, this is really cool actually. Something about this is kind of neat. I don't know. Yes, it's gimmicky, but at the same time, it's really cool to see an all-white Vader. We're just so used to seeing him as his classic blacked out version. Finally, we have what you all have been waiting for, Darth Jar Jar. I've been told that Ahmad Best is actually coming back to voice him in Rebuild the Galaxy. That's pretty awesome, kind of adds more legitimacy to the character, and Lego's done justice. This is exactly what I want a Darth Jar Jar to look like. Double-sided printing on his torso, no printing on his legs though. And now let's take a look at what an all blacked out dark Millennium Falcon looks like. I'm sure a lot of you are eager to see the inside. There's actually quite a bit of detail, even though it is mostly black. There is some nice greebling here and there. It's nothing crazy. It's not that different from the 2019 Millennium Falcon that we'll be comparing here in just a few minutes. But there are some nice changes here. I also have to note the back engines are, of course, red instead of the classic blue of the Millennium Falcon, so that makes sense. You know, it is a kind of Sith-oriented Falcon. It's also worth noting that LEGO has switched over to the 3x3 circular tiles instead of like the weird dish with the Technic pin through it. It'll make more sense when we compare it, but that's a nice change. And then we also have this Death Star laser here on the side. I actually really like this. It's kind of hilarious. That's probably my favorite part of the Dark Falcon is like, oh, there's a little Death Star laser. That makes a lot of sense. And then just like any other Millennium Falcon, we of course have the turret here in the middle, and you can open this up like other playset Millennium Falcons, and of course you have the double cockpit area, so you can put a figure on both sides, and they have a little control area. So here's C-3PO and Beach Luke inside. They fit perfectly. Moving towards the front side of the Dark Falcon, in terms of play functions, you'll notice there is some spring-loaded missiles. They're actually fairly well hidden, so that's a nice play feature that isn't like super obvious, and I like it. It works very well. Turning the Falcon over to its side, we can take a look at the trans red cockpit with printed black on it. That's a nice piece. And then if we take it off, you can fit 2 minifigures in here. If you're careful, you might be able to do 3 if you know what you're doing. And they look pretty cool, I suppose, there. And there's also a little control panel, not a sticker, thankfully, but just the normal printed control panel that we see on a lot of LEGO Star Wars sets. Flipping the Falcon to its underside, you'll see, of course, there's a little turret here. It's fairly plain, no inverted tiles or anything like that. And then, of course, 4 feet like we always have on the Falcon. Now getting to the main function, the main playability of this set, which is of course opening up all of the panels, revealing a full interior. Now the shaping of the panels and the way they're connected is almost identical to the 2019 Falcon, so there's no real improvement there. We have some sticker details leading from that cockpit, and making our way into the interior, you can see there's a big control panel that sits right in front of Darth Jar Jar's big throne. It's very reminiscent of what Sidious will sit in, and that's totally fine with me. It's Darth Jar Jar's throne now, and if you take the throne out, which is actually possible, it just pops out. It actually has a little clip piece on the back. You'll notice that if you look a little closer behind where it sits, there is actually what I believe to be a Sith holocron hiding back there. So I'm sure that might be explained in the Rebuild the Galaxy Disney Plus special. The next section is a little bedroom area, if we'll call it that. We have a little resting area for Beach Luke when he's had a little too much sun. And then following that, we have kind of inverted seats. Normally they're against the wall. This time they're kind of protruding outwards, which makes sense because, you know, the opposite of the normal Falcon, Dark Falcon, all that. Anyhow, Darth Ray and Beach Luke look pretty good here. You can see they're watching a game, and there's even a little Easter egg on the ground there of, I believe, the same game, just as like maybe a mobile phone version. I don't know. That's just my best guess. On the back side, we have a little power generator here, kind of having a Sith-esque look to it. And then on the opposite side, we have a little Sith-esque jail cell. I mean, I don't know. It's for Jedi Vader, apparently, based off the box. I'm sure this, again, will be more explained in the Rebuild the Galaxy show if you choose to watch that. The final section is pretty barren, actually. We just have this one crate that has a trans blue cylinder in it, as well as a few around it. Of course, there is a retractable entrance, which unfortunately is not very accessible from the side, just like other Millennium Falcons at this scale. So, I mean, overall, the interior is okay. There's no, hidden compartment storage for smuggling. That's a little bit disappointing not to see that. It's pretty barren for the most part. There are a few gags, few details here and there, but I feel like LEGO could have done a little bit more, especially for that $180 price point. But let's go ahead and compare this now to the other prior versions of the Millennium Falcon so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. So to the left is the 2019 Rise of Skywalker Millennium Falcon, and to the right is the 2015 Force Awakens Millennium Falcon. And as you can see, they are all the exact same scale. None of them are bigger than one another. The Dark Falcon did not get bigger or smaller. It's exactly the same scale. Now, there is definitely differences from the 2015 Millennium Falcon that still kind of had the 2010 aesthetics of how the panels opened, how the back looked, but it definitely is very similar to the 2019 version, especially when you look at the back engines and how the panels come off or open up. They're very similar in that regard. I personally favor the 2015 Millennium Falcon for its interior details. I kind of like the Sunstar aesthetic when you open up all the individual panels. Yes, it has more gaps, but I just like that aesthetic. But as you can see from the 2019 to the 2024 Dark Falcon, they have very similar interiors, just obviously reversed in a couple ways and all blacked out. And it's also worth noting that there's this pretty noticeable gap on the Dark Falcon, and this also exists on the 2019 variant of the Falcon. But going back to the 2015 version from The Force Awakens, it's not present. It actually looks a lot more seamless. A little interesting. So I will give LEGO props for trying something new. They did this last year with doing a Coruscant Republic gunship instead of the normal one that we're used to. And just like what I said in that review, I want the normal version, and I still feel that way about this Dark Falcon. I'm just not a fan of this all blacked out one. Yes, it's unique, but in my opinion, in the long term, I think fans are going to look back on this set and just kind of scratch their heads and kind of understand why it exists and kind of not. So I stand by what I said at the beginning of the video. I just am not a fan of the Dark Falcon. This just isn't appealing to me. It's literally like every other Millennium Falcon we've gotten over the last 25 years, except it's all blacked out. And it has some pretty funny Easter eggs inside. And yeah, that's really all that's going for this set. Is if you like a color change on your Millennium Falcon, you know, maybe if you're a fan of the Solo Millennium Falcon that was all white with a little blue, you like that, how they changed it up, then you'll probably be interested in the Dark Falcon. I like the original, you know, that's just me, is what it is. So with that said, I have to say the one pro of this set is the minifigure lineup, excluding Darth Dev, because I don't really care for that figure, but everybody else here, I would want. I think the minifigures are outstanding, actually, in this set. Like, these are really cool, unique minifigures. These are all well-known characters. Some of them are actually canon, like Darth Rey. We see a vision of her in Rise of Skywalker, even though I don't like that movie. I still think it's cool that we have that character now. I love the fact that we have Darth Jar Jar. Like, all of these figures are genuinely interesting. That is the reason why I would want to pick up this set eventually. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you guys, this set is going in a storage bin after this review. I'm not even going to put it on my shelf because, like I said at the beginning, this is just a dust magnet waiting to happen. I don't like the aesthetics personally. That is going to be very opinionated. That's going to vary person to person. Maybe you love a blacked out Millennium Falcon. Maybe you think this is the coolest thing ever. And if that's you, awesome. I think you're going to enjoy this set. For me, it's just not interesting. I like the classic Falcon look. But realistically, if you guys want the set and you want the minifigures, I think paying $150, $160 is reasonable for this set. $180 is a lot for this. I don't feel like it's worth it at that price point, especially when you look at last year's Ghost set with Phantom 2. That was a fantastic set for less money. Sure, you're getting less minifigures, but that was just perfect. I love that set. And then even this year's Imperial Star Destroyer, I would pick that well before I ever considered the Dark Millennium Falcon. And then lastly, I just want to note that, yes, LEGO has to have, or at least it feels like they always have to have a Millennium Falcon on store shelves. If it was my money, I think LEGO should have upped the price to $200. Wait, hear me out here. Up the price to $200, give us a Return of the Jedi Millennium Falcon with Lando, Nine Nub, and maybe a whole Rebel crew that we kind of see in the background in Return of the Jedi. But then give us a TIE Fighter or TIE Interceptor to go alongside it, make it a 2-in-1. And then I think you have a great combo on your hands because LEGO has never made a Return of the Jedi-esque style Millennium Falcon. You could have a little function to have the radar dish kind of blow off like you see while they're running through the Death Star 2. That's what I would want. I think this is just a bad concept. That's just me. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Are you going to be picking up the Dark Falcon? If so, link down in the description if you want to help support the channel. Thanks to LEGO for sending this set over for review. Hope you guys have a great, wonderful day, and I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.